Welcome, everyone. My name is Thomas. Please take your seats. Hopefully I needn't remind you to be quiet. Gathered here is Napoleon Bonaparte, John Locke, and Karl Marx. I'm certain that you have many questions about your death, seeming resurrection, and who exactly I am. However, this is all irrelevant. Do not expect answers. Do not expect answers. All you must know is that once again, I am Thomas, and I am here to help your race. We are moving a large population, around 1 billion people, to a land mass with a united government to ensure peace. The question you gentlemen must solve, for I cannot possibly comprehend, is which government system must be used to achieve this goal. The man with the answer will be credited. Is it a democracy? A dictatorship? You tell me. Just excuse me here, but you said ensuring peace was the goal, right? Precisely. We don't want to repeat what's happening now. Alright, but I think you're missing a big piece here. No pun intended. We are people, so we're meant to be selfish. Generally speaking, that means we fight for land, food, wealth, substances, and even hypocritically for religion, pride, love. Emotions. I bet you before this convention is over, us gentlemen will be having our wishes erupting in the form of violence, verbal or not. What I'm saying is, well, as you put it, don't expect any answers, especially when ensuring peace. Are you denying my gift to your race? Are you telling me this generosity is going to be incinerated? Incinerated? Please! What I am saying is I do have a government system that will reduce fighting to a minimum, but don't expect eternal peace. We are all looking for happiness, are we not? If that means if others get in the way of our rights, we're gonna knock them down. Did King Louis, I don't care which one you're talking about, any of them, get so happy by loving his people? No! He got happy by taxing them. And what are they going to do? Probably revolt. That's how it works in monarchies. The rich get richer until smack! They hit the ceiling and get dragged about on the floor. And what exactly are you suggesting, Locke? Pinning down everyone successful? Yeah, let's just string up the hard-working, the wealthy, the country-protecting king himself because they're making a couple of bums upset. No. The government cannot be successful. Rather, the government has to be literally and figuratively of the governed. Just think about that for a second. Alright. That means it accounts for the poor and the rich, because the poor and the rich have a spot in the government. How do they do that? They vote for the leader. Majority rules. Logistically, I mean, we're talking a billion people here, right? This mass of people elect an official, who can be anyone, because that official is going to protect their life, their liberty, and their pursuit of happiness. This, my presumably dead friends, is democracy. Okay, technically republic. And democracy makes sense. Civil societies, tribes, and primitives, they built democracy to defend themselves, to defend their rights. This can be a free place, a free trade, so long as everyone has boundaries set by the people. And what stops the elected official from abusing his power? Why can't he just draft the people, use their money, I presume he collected from taxes, and control the trade? If you really think humans are so selfish, what's better an opportunity is democracy to seize the very rights you're trying to protect? Anyone, even a psychopath, could do so if they win the support of the people through your votes. Oh, that's easy. Cleanthes of Greece created a system in which states determined by residents would elect their own officials into the Senate. All powerful senators had equal power, and hence power was shared. Not just one person's selfishness had control, but many did. Thus, the decisions made did not just benefit one man, they benefit the people. Not to mention, everything is under law. Oh, and I just assume with the power split people are going to agree with each other. You just expect A, that the governors are going to want to help people, not themselves, which I may add ironically contradicts with their point that all people are selfish, and B, by assuming that logical fallacy, that they're just going to have the same way of doing so. Let's lower the taxes. No, let's raise them. That's exactly what happened to the Romans. Nothing happened with those babbling, greedy senators until an emperor took the throne and started making decisions for himself. Can I get Augustus in here? No, too many senators. Fine, look at me. I, a brilliant general, knocked Louis right off his throne and made a vast empire within a single lifetime. It was I whose quick militaristic motions let this occur. Let Waterloo dissipate. Let me capture Poland. Me, one guy. Two heads aren't better than one when each head has a different idea, wants their own slice of the great big world. If a king is mad, overthrow him, like I did. Poof! There goes your election system.
Are we seeing a pattern here? Is it not unquestionably clear the importance of an empire?
Sure, you have laws like the Napoleonic Code, which is very nice, I may add, that people can hold their system up to, but if you're trying to govern an entire population... But, Mr. Bonaparte, I have a question. Why do you think there was ever a need for a contradiction in the first place? Contradiction? Why do you think kings must fall for each other? Which I may add is a very bloody, broken system in the first place. Why do you think democracy is a flop? I think I've made it evidently clear. Selfishness. Selfishness? Yes, selfishness. Greed. Hunger for power, whatever you want to call it. As Mr. Locke put it, it sits right here at this table. It lives in all of us. How else would anything have happened if there wasn't greed or want? Would there be empires, riches, kingdoms if no one wanted them? Well, excuse me, Mr. Bonaparte, but I think that's where you have it a little off. You see, a man is not greedy unless you let him become greedy. Unless you let the emperor have an army, he will only help what he has. The people. After all, what would Augustus and the heck, what have you to do without your army, your producers? Make an army? Not exactly. There are two kinds of people in both yours and Mr. Locke's government. Which is capitalistic, I'm going to assume that's your economy choice. Of course, under militaristic protection, a quick thinking government not skimming off the top, trade would thrive, much like it did with the Romans. Yes, there are two kinds of people in your capitalistic worlds. The bourgeoisie, production managers, and the proletariats, the laborers. Now, that's basically the rich and the poor, the bread sellers, the bread makers. Quite frankly, they hate each other. It's not their fault. The government pretends to support both, but they're actually controlled and made of the bourgeoisies. No amount of votes is going to deny a bribe from a wealthy man leaking his power into a senate or a dictatorship. Or in some cases, which I will ignore for the sake of this argument, but we are talking billions of people here, there is a possibility of blackmail. This means a government under law does not exist. There is a law for the common man and a law for the powerful. Anyway, what you're left with is some rather harsh class tension. Because you're letting the selfish man be selfish, where selfishness is not important in the slightest to man as a whole. What is, and is often missed or mistaken, is contribution. Oh, I think you may be a little off there. Do you really think man would love to just make slaves of themselves to contribute to society? That they would just forget the splendors of a king's castle, the glorious mansion, their enormous paycheck, so that they could help build the roads and bridges? Are you being an idealistic moron, or are you just making a terrible joke? Perhaps as an emperor, this is difficult for you to grasp. After all, you've been a bourgeoisie your whole life. Despite, even I'm with Napoleon on this one, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness cannot be achieved without a greedy, selfish man, a man who's searching for his own benefits, not those of others. It's the government's responsibility to let the man thrive without limiting the rights of others. You know, no takeovers or anything. Alright. Just listen to my proposition and everything will be crystal clear. I'm certainly not denying that selfishness is a main factor in man. But you are in fact doing so. That's enough. Proceed, Marx. Thank you, Thomas. At the ultimate core of humanity, we need to understand our purpose in this universe. Are we meant to save the forest, teach the future generation, make bread, etc.? That is achievable, Mr. Locke, through life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How else do we comprehend our purpose? We must detach ourselves from our lives and through introspection find our purpose, then act upon it. We must create something, anything. A state like Sparta, a city like Rome, or die like the Phoenicians. We must then view our creation and its impact on the entire world. These materialistic creations become us. But with the capitalistic system, this is impossible. You have the proletarians who are stuck just making what they must to survive, not to pursue happiness. And you have the bourgeoisie, who are under this impression that self-improvement is the ultimate standard, built by themselves and enforced by the government. This is the wealthy Romans, who went about taking money and building mansions rather than seeking their purpose in the universe. I assure you, they were never fulfilled. Money only brings happiness when it fulfills a purpose. As expected, in societies where trade is abundant, this would occur. But what I'm offering is an evolution. My God, you rambled, good sir. Now do tell exactly how do we suck the selfishness from the minds of the world? Do we eliminate trade? Oh yes, that's a great one. Let's just make an oppressive society where people are slaves to the government. Looks like we still have the burgermeisters or whatever, but the difference is they're in complete control. Oh, but the people don't have to be lied to about the ultimate standard. They're equal in purpose. That's all that matters, right? Silence! Mr. Locke was more than right about the ways view people, argumentative, selfish creatures indeed. Now, Marx, how do you propose this planet be governed to achieve peace? Seems that whatever it would be inferior to the tribe, but through empire style. Well, the way to suck the selfishness from the people, though naturally occurring throughout human evolution, is universal suffrage, or working class consciousness. You can think of it as an empire, Napoleon, but the dictator would be a true democracy, no republics here, of the people. Essentially, every single person is working towards each other and their total well-being, overthrowing any capitalistic rising. This is because money, goods, or anything of that sort are exchanged evenly. Everyone gets the same thing, and everyone gets the same thing. Everyone gets the same home from the same home builders. Everyone gets the same bread from the same bread makers. Is there an issue that upsets the people, like crime or a controlling individual? Well, the conscious class gets together and resolves the issue. There is no government, but the morals of the people. You see, the people henceforth can do labor and find their purpose in continuing the existence of humanity. Scholars and scientists can still push forward as their share of knowledge is their product, no doubt under the scrutiny of the people. I have no historical evidence, but then again, neither of you can offer me an example of your ideal government system that did not crumble. Selfishness could not exist. Simply contribution. I like to call it Marxism. Universal suffrage of the people. I believe that because of inequality, the conflict between individuals will eventually give rise to the system. But why not implement it now? It is without a doubt a perfect solution when you have a billion people and a clean slate. I suppose you would just rather experiment with a different system rather than do the tried and true ones of the past. After all, we cannot guarantee peace, as I said. Max, Your central dogma is the transference of original sin for man to society. You have this rosy vision that by nature man is good, and that he's only corrupted by a disorganized society. Destroy the offending social institutions and put a stop. A natural man back to all his goodness. That's the essential idea. Take the opportunity of selfishness away from the people. It's a very attractive idea, but it simply isn't true. You have the whole thing backwards. Society is corrupt because man is corrupt, because he is weak, selfish, hypocritical, greedy. And he's not made this way by society. He is born this way. You can see it even in the youngest of the children. It's no good trying to build a better society on these false assumptions. It's authority's main job to keep man from being his worst, thus making life more tolerable for a greater number of people. Well, I think that's awfully hypocritical of you. You say by nature man is corrupt and selfish, yet you are the one offering for a single man, a dictator, to take control. Under a created law that none can stop him from changing. And you expect a set of corrupt individuals to be capable of seeing past their own sets of goals to do for the greater good of the people. You expect men to agree. That works so beautifully in Rome, after all. Oh, so did Nero, setting fire to his entire city with no one to stop him, sending inflation through the roof. I think it's quite obvious that it is the capitalistic society that let this occur, dissolving the pursuit of happiness in place of monetary goals, disabling the possible introspection that leads to self-purpose, creates none other than a collapsed society. Look, a society like that could never exist in a small gain, let alone a planet, where a man who does less work receives the same as one who does, where the bum gets equal power to the genius, where a man who pushes the human race to further heights cannot achieve his share for his success. It's better than your blundering bribe land where the government is controlled by the rich. Or here's Napoleon, where the government actually just is the rich. By the people, more like by the money. By the money? You're such a cretin as to think that safety, security, and success mean no freedom? That under a single person, the wise cannot thrive? What if the helpless poor and rich are unable to fulfill themselves under false hopes, just soulless, mindless nincompoop? Any man who believes that being caged to a singular path is freedom ought not to be thinking the politics of his pet fish, let alone billions of people. Oh, wait, that's you, Marx. Napoleon seems to be under the impression that a man will use infinite power for his people and not for himself. You are both monstruses. Give me the map. I deserve the power. A power that will eventually turn into a quality of thick-headed. I think I see the problem with humans. Logic evolved before the soul. But then again, I do not expect answers.